Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. You can't go on, man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man, so tough, but man's keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
You have heard me, Stugotz, over the years and seen me be way too hard on myself for a variety of silly things. I'm trying to get better at that. But I went home yesterday, and as I'm leaving here, I'm feeling bad for any number of failures on my part that include not being able to wrangle Mike Ryan all week. Like just not being able to control him, making everyone insane with University of Miami talk. Because, of course, that's how that season is going to end and how he's going to combust. He was reasonable in faking it the first day, and then Stugotz said he was disappointed in him, and then it just unleashed a rodeo bull.
I would not allow it. I wanted to see some emotion from Mike Ryan. I wanted him to fight for his team.
Right, you wanted some, and one day turned into 3, and then everything got hijacked.
I'm sorry.
Regardless, the thing I aired most on yesterday, there was something sitting in the middle of our show that we just walked away from way too quickly. And it's Jessica and her father watching Notre Dame and calling each other assholes when they're getting just 100-yard returns to get them into the playoffs. Like, I want to know more about what's happening in this household. I want you to paint a picture for me that has more details in it on how crazy it is to watch something like this with your family. There's nothing else quite like this, right? There's no sporting event that is this.
There is a sort of unspoken thing with me and my dad where when we watch Notre Dame games together, like anything that happens from the first quarter to the fourth quarter, nothing else in the world matters afterwards. Like it happens, we watch the game, and then afterwards we pretend like nothing happened. So in 2016, Notre Dame was historically bad. 4-7 season. Their last game of the season came against USC. Adoree Jackson ran back a punt return, and my dad was decorating for Christmas because this is like a tradition. Every year when Notre Dame finishes the season at USC, my dad puts up Christmas decorations while he curses under his breath about Notre Dame.
That's how you do it.
In 2016, Notre Dame has no shot of making a bowl
Did they
game.
win?
They are terrible. They're
is it a superstition?
No, this is an anxious, like, I need to do something with my hands, so I'm going to obnoxiously and angrily string up Christmas lights. So in 2016, terrible season. Like, Brian Kelly might get fired. They can't make a bowl. The bowl streak's ended. It's over. This team stinks. This USC game basically is meaningless. And my dad got so mad at the kickoff or the punt return touchdown, he threw a Christmas ornament at the TV and broke the TV.
Wow.
Strong ornament.
And like, it was like a porcelain dog with a Santa hat. Like, super embarrassing.
Let's think
stuff.
about this for a second. There aren't many ornaments that actually would break the TV, right? None of those stinky.
Right, the ornament didn't break.
The balls, none of those balls.
The balls would not break a TV. No, Dan. The
but
foam, I think.
Neither would the Christmas. Neither would the star on the top of the Christmas tree. Like I have one cube with Bruce Willis climbing through the air conditioning ducts in Die Hard that would break my television. But that's the only one.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a super embarrassing moment for everyone. Like, it was like, yeah, like don't do that. But once the game ended and Notre Dame finishes the season 4-8, we're like, all right, well, like we just got to pretend like that never happened because it's all part of the rivalry weekend, rivalry game, rivalry weekend. He lost his temper. It's okay, and now we move on.
I have a lot of follow-up questions, and we all do, really. First of all, paint for me the picture of what the ornament is and what part of the television he is breaking and what the repairs cost and, like, is it a crack? What is happening here?
This really puts my paints my dad in a bad light. So I really don't.
You called him an asshole during
He was
play.
being an asshole.
Okay, but I
now
mean-
he's not. Like now it's fine. The game's over.
Do you see yourself becoming him when you're alone now
I am
watching
him.
Notre Dame? Like, what parts of him have you
I am
do on
him,
your own?
He is me.
Like, are you throwing ornaments? Like, what's?
No, I don't. But I would. I mean, I'm not gonna put. We all would in that situation.
We're good this year. I would if we were
But
bad.
this is the stakes of this year's USC Notre Dame game were so high because this USC team, they were not a great team. They couldn't end fourth quarters against teams that they had leads over. And they have a lot of talent, a very good offense. Their defense was super banged up, injured,
But
not very good.
made stops in that game that gave the
Made a
offense the
couple
ability
stops,
to win the game.
Exactly. And Notre Dame's best player, Jeremiah Love, was out with a knee sprain. So it was not
What year are we
looking
talking
great.
about?
This is 4 days ago.
Right
Oh,
now.
okay, my bad.
Okay, not the
So
4
Notre
and 7
Dame-
season. Right. I was confused too,
You know
Chris.
what?
Yes,
all right,
yes.
all right.
I do have a follow-up question. Jess, so you said whatever happens within those 4 quarters, after that, you just let it go. But when he broke the TV and the game was over, what happened then?
We all just moved on. Luckily, it was right after Black Friday, so got a Cyber Monday deal. I mean, I really this really does make my dad seem terrible, and he's not. So I feel bad
Jessica,
about this,
okay,
but
Jessica, look.
I think I've already told this story.
You've
on another
protected the
podcast
asshole.
before.
You have done plenty to protect your father, who you called an asshole during the game. And I am instigating this because you told us the story of what it's like to watch a crazy game with you and your dad. How did the television break? Was it cracked down on the screen? Is that what broke?
It was like one of those things where like you could see a bunch of colors. And so, like, the TV still worked, but the picture had some colors in one part.
How heavy was the
It
ornament?
was like a dog with a Santa hat, and it was like a ceramic dog head with a felt Santa hat and arms and legs.
Was he
Human
aiming
arms and
for the
legs.
television, or was he just throwing?
I think it was like
just rage?
shoot, and then it just kind of all happened. It really happened very quickly. And again, this game in 2016, it didn't matter.
Didn't matter.
It
This
didn't,
this
the
one
fact
this
that
weekend
he
mattered.
Still cared that much in that awful, god awful season, I think is a testament to really his love of Notre Dame. But this year, the game did matter. This year, it was pretty close. Notre Dame had a lead most of the second half, but
Right.
it was pretty close. And so when the first pick six happens with Christian Gray, not of 50 Shades of Grey, of Notre Dame football, and there was a penalty flag, we were all sort of like, oh no, is the run back an account?
Right.
And that was when there was some confusion about what the flag was over, and perhaps insults were hurled. Perhaps there was a sort of angry, tense moment before it became obvious Notre Dame was actually going to win the game. But then before the game even ended, Dan, we all came together and we sang the alma mater. And then we all were like, wow, we can't wait. We're going to go to South Bend for a playoff game. This is going to be amazing. So, like, it was completely forgotten.
Who's the all? Is it the
Me
three
and
of you?
my mom and my dad.
Okay,
And-
no
and
dog,
my-
no Willow?
And Willow also. I don't think she's going to come to the game, though.
Okay, but no, Lehman's not involved. This is a real.
Lehman doesn't wanna go.
This is a real family. But
I've dragged him to so many Notre Dame
hold on.
You think Liam wants to see this?
No,
I mean,
Lehman.
Sorry.
Lehman.
Fine. Yeah.
Yes.
What did I call him?
Liam.
I was thinking about Neeson.
His nickname is Lehman, so that's where you
The thing that I want
You've gone
to
too far.
ask you is, you're in the center of the room with a broken television, singing the alma mater with your parents and your dog.
No, this was that was 2016. is the
But not-
broken television.
okay.
This year, no broken television. This year, nothing was thrown because Notre Dame won.
My fault. My
no,
fault.
that's okay. We're alternating timelines. This is like a Christopher Nolan film. We're going back. We're flashing back to 2016 because this informs the sort of like evolution of our relationship. So in 2016, like I'm still fresh out of college. Me and my dad don't have the relationship where I can be like, "Hey, asshole, you broke the TV." Now I'm an adult. He's an adult. He needs me. I need him. We're like sort of okay. We have a sort of understanding here. I can
But
call
he's
him
not
an
an
asshole.
asshole.
He can call me an asshole, and it sort of neutralizes.
And no one here is quite an adult around this particular thing. Maybe in all other aspects of life, but I believe the asshole and the descendant of the asshole, although I thought you said yesterday that you blamed your mom. I learned it from you, Mom, not from him. You're saying now today you learned it from him,
No, I
too.
learned how to be annoying about sports from both of them, but specifically about the sort of like obnoxious, angry, like clapping during football games. That I got from my dad.
But
He
we're all
does angry
cheering for the
clapping.
same thing here, right? Why are we all being assholes to each other? Mom,
Football.
Dad, Jess,
That's why.
what's happening?
Football.
It's the playoffs. Is he like Notre Dame lost a embarrassing, just like horrendous game, which by the way my parents were at, to Northern Illinois earlier this season. My dad,
This season. Okay.
yeah, this year,
Right.
2020. Well, although every game in 2026 was also embarrassing.
2016. They lost to
2016.
Duke. They lost
Can I get
to
the spreads,
Stanford.
those?
Oh, we're in the future. Oh, no.
It was.
So
Sports
all the
Almanac.
games in the future are embarrassing, huh? How about that?
I hope not.
Yes.
What about the opposite end of the spectrum? When you guys are as happy, the biggest touchdown you've ever been around each other, is it like a
I have not
chest
got.
bump?
Okay, listen. You hold your questions. Let me get the answers to mine, please. The alma mater is being sung by the three of you with a barking dog. And where does this rank in terms of joyous family moments? We're going on an adventure. Our team's great. We've got an impossibly handsome coach. We're ruling the world, and the three of us are singing. Like, where does this rank in terms of joyous family sharing?
It was really great. And video team, that you're painting a picture right now that is inaccurate. There's no golf club smashing the TV. It was like and the ornament went flying. It wasn't like a God damn this TV thing. It wasn't like that, video team. So stop doing that. That's not fair. But it was like a feeling of relief where we went from like, we're all really tense. We're all like, oh my God, is USC about to ruin this season? Are they going to do this? I hate this team so much. They already ruined my childhood. They ruined my whole life with the Bush push. We can't let them get away with this. Lincoln Riley's a fraud. Notre Dame needs to win this game. To then immediate like sort of relief, and then immediately like, so what do you guys want to do for dinner? And we got a couple pizzas and we celebrated. And it was really nice. And we'll never speak of it again. We will never speak of it again. And will it happen again when we're watching the playoff game together at Notre Dame Stadium? Maybe. But then we'll never talk about it once the game ends. We'll never talk about it again.
We have the same kind of thing, but not to sports, right? I feel like just in life, Cuban and Hispanic parents get upset and kind of things fly out of their hands in ways that are inconvenient for those that are standing in the path of the thing being thrown. But it's not usually for NFL or college football games because, like, my mom doesn't care if the Canes win or not. My dad does, right? But, like, he's not going to throw something. But my mom would maybe, like, una chancleta or, like, I don't know, like
control.
a remote control, maybe a wooden spoon for like cazuela. All of a sudden, you know, I'm roughhousing with one of my siblings, and then like, pow! Oh,
Right,
where
yeah.
did that
Yeah,
come from?
that's the
It
way
was my mom. She had said no juego de mano 11 times, and then all of a sudden, I get a spoon to the back of the head.
Stugotz has to leave for a moment.
Yeah.
It's too bad that Mike's not here to hear why it is and how it is that he has to leave, because he's been tormenting Mike secretly with a private joke on God Bless Football for a while now, and that joke is to just bring on the guests that defeated the University of Miami.
You got him?
The week before. I don't know who he got, but he's got to go record with somebody.
I usually get the coach of the team that beats UM. I didn't do that this year. I got the quarterback that beat UM.
Let's go.
Honda McCord?
Yes, I got.
Oh, my-
I got the Honda Accord. Yes.
I mean, that's great. However, I do want to know the logistics of winners get washed. If you win the last game of the season, does that mean he can keep showering throughout the entire offseason? Or if you get one shower, but then you have to wait till the next win to shower again?
that will be next week, Fran Brown.
Okay, good.
Can you
Yeah, please let
ask
me know.
his quarterback, though, about Coach Stinky and that particular revelation by Coach Stinky?
Sure. Yeah.
Let's see what that produces. God Bless Football is exploding all over the internet. On Sunday, they are making out at the I don't know if this is the end of an American tour, but it's the punctuation for the holiday season on God Bless Football's American tour. And we've got a Miami watch party. It is Sunday, December 8th, this Sunday, 12 to 5. It's Vivo Dolphin Mall. That's an incredible, fun, Miami, ridiculous place.
It's a fun spot. I'll be out there. God Bless Football will be out there. Check it out. Vivo at Dolphin Mall.
Very good enthusiasm. I don't know why people wouldn't flock right now and tailgate based on just the passion you showed in delivering that.
I'll be out there. God Bless Football will be out there.
I'll
check
be
it
out
out.
there.
There we go.
You did good Trump hands, splainy hands. You did good Trump splainy hands.
I mean, that's what I
during
do
that
when I'm
sec-
explaining something, all right? You go out there if you want. If you don't want to, you don't have to. All
Okay,
right?
you got to
Come
keep
one,
working.
come all.
You keep working on Trump, okay? Because I'm going to put a wig on you. I want Shane Gillis 2.0.
What about me, man?
No, I don't want him.
Oh, that one's so good. It's over, buddy.
I don't
You
want.
got about a month.
I don't want him anymore.
Let me end with a boom.
You are.
You did. You pardoned your son. Like, You did end with a
Come on,
boom.
anyone would do that.
There's rockets flying.
It's gonna happen with the next guy too.
Blood's thicker than water.
Who wouldn't appreciate a father pardoning his son? You spent yesterday pardoning your father.
He parties hard, man.
Your father yesterday getting mad at us for trying to help him.
That was crazy. I was talking to him last night at bowling about that. I'm like, what did you do? You pitched a fit, and then you're like, out of nowhere, okay, fine, I'll do it. Like, that's
how he realizes when he's wrong. That's exactly where it shifts. It just takes, he's on delay.
You have to chip away at him.
He's really stubborn. He's really stubborn. And he also thinks he's the only reason for his stardom. Like, he hasn't had any help. Be clear on that. Like, that there is nothing there except narcissism. And I will tell you that it was perfect for him to go from a genuine rage to you handing him Wu-Tang shoes and him dissolving into a puddle of, I'll do whatever you want. You've given me a gift. I am a toddler. I'm a 70-year-old toddler.
How many times is he going to wear those shoes, realistically? Over, under, let's say 1.5.
How many pairs of those shoes did we get? Because I got a pair, and when I went out, this happens a lot around here when we get gifts. Elise has told me about this. You guys got to be careful around Elise, my assistant, because she sees things. And Elise has told me that whenever a box comes for me, it gets ravaged by everyone here, and she has to fight like a bird of prey to make sure that people don't steal basically things that are sent for me.
Yeah, no, she does that. You got a good one. She's
but
aggressive.
I got one good one and a lot of bad ones. Why is everyone trying to steal my shit?
Steal is a heavy word. I don't like steal.
More just seeing, hey, is this something Dan actually wants? Because, Dan, your name's on everything around here. Every package essentially has your name on it. So we're just going to peruse through it. Make sure it's, we don't want to waste your time, Dan.
I thank you for that, except that not a thing has gotten to me.
Well, we know you, and you don't want it.
You don't want any of that stuff.
All right.
It's clutter.
All right.
The DeMar
You've got
DeRozan
plenty of
socks are
stuff.
still there
Yeah, you can
waiting
have
for you. They're right there. They had your name on them. They had Atlanta United. They had socks and DeMar DeRozan. You didn't want to
Hey, somebody hit up Baron Davis and tell him to send some cookies. These people here would love his cookies for the holidays.
BD?
Somebody listening to this, all of you, badger Baron Davis and tell him he has not sent the cookies that I know these people would like to eat for the holidays that you reminded me of because of the DeMar DeRozan socks that delight me. Stugotz has left to talk to the Syracuse quarterback. Chris, you're done with Alabama talk, right? It's been about 2.5 days too much.
I'm done with it on this show. I'm done with it driving in today. The big dog and Dono just talking about, Miami and quality wins over 500. Just done with it.
That's good.
Like I've gotten from Miami got screwed here too. You lost. If you would have said at the beginning of the season, and here we are, we're going to do this conversation again.
No, we don't have to.
We don't have to.
I haven't heard
I'd
this
like
all
to
year.
hear.
I
I just want to say this one line. If you would have said to Mario Cristobal at the beginning of the year, okay, here's what you got to do. There's only 2 games matter. Georgia Tech, Syracuse, you got to win one. You do it, you're in the playoff. You take that, Mario? He would say, hell yeah, and if I don't win one of those, I don't deserve to be in. He would have said that. Yep. And now, that's what happened. So you're out. You're barely out. It proves how good of a season you had. You're the first one out, but you deserve to be out.
I will tell everybody that Miami is spectacular for the sport in every way, coming down to the conclusion of doing more for the sport by missing the playoffs than they would have done if they had played in the playoff with that defense, because we're going to spend this amount of time doing the thing that college football wants us to do when all we've got is the Army-Navy game. Argue, care, and argue. Make all your numerical arguments and try to do it on merit when we're going to try to keep disguising that this is something between a beauty pageant and figure skating. It is like the thing that I don't think that people are understanding about this, because they go to the committee and the committee is supposed to have the facts, and then you're assuming that the facts then support or make the conclusion Alabama should be in at 12. You do it the other way. Put Alabama first in at 12 and then find what you need to make the argument. Like, it's not, you guys keep thinking it's about merit. It's a beauty pageant. It's not merit. It is subjective eye of the beholder shit.
Well, beauty being in the eye of the beholder, why is Alabama more attractive than, say, a Heisman potential winning quarterback with that type of offense? Because you keep harping on the defense, but nobody cares about defense, really. Offense is what makes you beautiful, isn't it? In terms of a made-for-TV event, if you've got a high-scoring offense and a great quarterback, you're more attractive. That would be my argument anyway.
God, you guys just all hate football.
You are the one who loves the 9-6 game. Again, I will stop Izzy there, and I'm with you, Chris. We'll move on in a second. In fact, we're going to get a palate cleanser with my father and 50 Shades of Grey. We're going to go back to that. Oh, well, it works. It's easy, and I miss my father's voice. I did not kill him.
Oye, cuidado.
I just miss his voice here on the show. I have not heard him around here in a little while. Go ahead. But I again tell you, Izzy, as you say all of that beauty, it's because you have to start with the idea that Alabama's going to get in because it's Alabama. Like, that is, I will not lose sight of what that brand is over the last 20 years. What that brand is as big a brand that there has ever been in that sport. And it's at the time of Nick Saban when he's dynastic. And Jeremy, you wanted to say something?
I just don't understand how we can spend every single season saying it's so good for the sport when Miami is good because they're one of the biggest brands in the sport, and then at the same time act like a mid-major, like some team that, plucky Miami, like it's not a big brand just like Alabama is. If this was even...
I'm not. It is a big brand. I'm stopping you on just like Alabama is. There is no such thing, and there may never have been any such thing as just like Alabama is.
Do you see Alabama
unless
here
you're talking,
all over the country? Like you
unless
see
you're
UM
talking
stuff.
Jessica's Notre Dame championship teams of, Galloping Ghosts and, Newt Rockney.
1988, Dan. 1988.
No.
You were alive. You were 20 years old. Don't pretend like, oh my God, it's so long ago.
I'm talking about when you're winning all the championships.
You were at Kuda's.
Not one or two of them.
You were watching it at the bar.
Not one or two championships, all the championships. Like, the run that Alabama just went on is unlike any since Miami and USC were doing things like that over 5 and 6 years.
Big brand, Miami and USC.
We're doing it again. I need Poppy.
Yeah, go ahead. You're right.
And now, Poppy reads a passage from 50 Shades of Grey, page 186.
He flexes his hips, so his pushes against me. Yes, right there. He runs his teeth along my shin, eases back, then slides into me again. So slow, so sweet, so tender. His body pressing down on me, his elbows and his hands on either side of my face. Oh, Anna, he breathes and he lets go. My name a benediction on his lips as he finds his release. His head rests on my belly, his arm wrapped around me. I just want to enjoy the quiet, serene afterglow of making love with Christian Grey, because that's what we have done, gentle, sweet lovemaking.
The Galloping Ghost went to Illinois. You guys just don't know football. Red Grange, Galloping Ghost. They did the 100-year anniversary game with Illinois and Michigan this year.
You know what? My bad. I was thinking just of the Four Horsemen,
yes.
Time, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you know the 50s better than I do. Back when Notre Dame ruled the world, and
this is our third time making the playoff since the playoff was instituted.
Jessica,
and you know who's
are you
played in a
trying
national
to argue with
championship
me that Notre
in the
Dame
last
has
20
been
years?
the same program in terms of winning championships that it was when it was ruling
I'm just
college
saying,
football?
They're really good. They're very good.
They lost to Northern Illinois this
and
year.
they still made the playoff. How about that? And all you had to do was try to tie the game against Syracuse, and maybe you win that one, and you're in the playoff too,
Look,
Dan.
there was nobody.
You're lashing out on You're all lashing out at Alabama and Greg Sankey and the SEC. You have no one to blame but yourself and Mario Cristobal for blowing it again. And you know what? If you had blown out Cal like you were supposed to and Virginia Tech like you were supposed to earlier in the season, I actually think better argument. But I think the committee said, wow, Miami struggled to win all their ACC games this year, all of them, and they lost 2. And for that, sorry, you're not in.
Agreed on all counts.
So stop talking about the goddamn Alabama-Oklahoma game. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Alabama might not even make it.
But the team that is ahead of them at 12 deserves it less. Just looking at their record, like this stuff can't. Like if
record has never mattered, ever, in the history of the college football playoff, it's never mattered, ever.
Okay.
The record, we're acting surprised. It's never mattered. It is an invitational, like you just said. There are teams that they prefer to have over others, but it's based off resume, and they have told us year after year after year after year, if you're going to lose games, you need to have great wins, and Miami had 0 of those.
I think a losing position for Jeremy is cutting him off with my father at every turn when he starts talking.
And now, Bobby reads a passage from 50 Shades of Grey, page 343.
I groan and run my fingernails across his neck, and he gasped a strangled moan. You're going to unman me, Anna. You take me. I sit down onto him, reveling in the fullness of my possession, reveling in his reaction, watching his unravel beneath me. I feel like a goddess. Anna, touch me, please. I lean forward and steady myself with my hands on his chest. Come on, baby. I need this. Give it to me. And I explode, my body a slave to his, and wrap myself around him, clinging to him like a vine as he cries out my name and climaxes with me, then collapses his full weight, pressing me into the mattress.
I think this is how we can get Dan to throw an ornament.
Well, I'm telling you where I am right now, okay? And I don't feel good about where my life is at the moment. I just got pushed around by Jeremy and Jessica because I haven't been the same since benediction and release. That sentence, like, I have been knocked. I have been when my father said benediction on his lips, and then there was a release. Like I cannot. You don't understand the way that you're triggering for me the memory of being under my parents' bed when they were having. Well, I didn't know what sex was at the time. The bed was just a rocking.
This is your ultimate core memory. I think this has driven everything about your life.
This is the thing. It's been buried for 50 years. Like that memory is not something I had considered until you guys conjured the image again of I don't know where I was the first time we did 50 Shades of Grey with my father, but I don't remember it.
How long did it last?
I've got no memory. It was very short. But I didn't. That's in retro. I didn't know what they were doing. I didn't know what they were doing. Why is the bed rocking? I mean, look, for me, it wasn't even discussed. That was in retrospect. At the moment, it was just fear. These are not small people. The bed is rocking. I'm under it.
But they seemed happy, no?
I don't want to talk about this anymore. Your follow-up questions are unpleasant.
Needed, I would say.
And disturbing to me.
It's okay. That was your core memory. Mine is the bush push. And that's, it influences how we live the rest of our lives.
I still have follow-up questions about watching the game with you and your dad and the alma mater and the emotion of the moment. You are singing the alma mater out loud because you are in the playoff as a family. This is the most wholesome middle America thing I think our show has ever done. Tony, have you seen a lot of wholesome middle America things around here?
Around here or around Miami?
No, around here. I'm talking about our show. If I say to you, okay, look, if you told me, give me the family that sings the alma mater around its television after a home win, I'm going to go ahead. That's the Taches.
Never once in my life.
No, I don't see. Hold on, Dan. I don't see Jeremy's parents rallying around a football game. I see Jeremy rallying around and watching the game, but I don't see his parents super involved.
Okay,
oh, man. My dad is a crazy fan.
So regardless, my question to the group is, give me something more middle America. If I walked in here today and said somebody in our crew did that, Jessica would be the only nominee, right? We don't have anything like that around here.
I can see Lucy doing it with Iowa.
But I'm comparing that to you, your dad, and your mom watching the game, which also has the hostility of wanting to throw Christmas ornaments at the television, but doesn't end with a group hug and the promise to never speak of the things that happened here again.
I don't even know FAU's alma mater.
Which is worse, arm in arm singing the alma mater or hosting a fake fantasy event like the PFPI?
That's not fake.
Worse or better? Both of these things are lovely.
One of them actually happened, and one of them is a exaggerated bit I've been doing for the last 20 minutes.
All right. Well,
I'm sorry. I'll
no,
leave.
no. Like, get out of here.
Major penalty, 5 minutes, swooning comedy.
I can't ask you 20 minutes of questions and then at the end you tell, like, I can't, that can't be it.
Did he break the TV or no?
Like, doing bit, I'm asking you questions and I'm buying everything you're saying, and now you've just lied to the audience for 20 minutes.
And you're buying a new TV.
With the Gulf Stream breezes blowing, the search for truth goes on. Seeking, learning, sharing knowledge, finding the meaning of the past that is gone.
This is the FAU.
Where
alma mater,
nature
apparently.
beams with pleasant weather. Fight through.
Why are you singing
We
that to a Phil
strive
Collins
to learn
melody?
to work together. Florida Atlantic, we praise.
Didn't get his dad's
and
voice,
hail
huh?
thy name. FAU. FAU.
Before I get to David Samson, I wanted to talk about last night's Laker Heat game, and I wanted to talk about some of what swirls around the Miami Heat, where reportedly the Dallas Mavericks and the Houston Rockets are interested in Jimmy Butler. You understand why they would be. Those teams would get better with him. Miami would not, unless there were other teams involved. You trade away Jimmy Butler, you got to get a player better than Jimmy Butler if you're in Pat Riley's last years doing this. So I would assume that the Laker win last night is because, at least in part, Anthony Davis can't be that. There's got to be something physically that he's fighting with when that's what he is. That's a dominant player, and that's not how he looks. To me, the greatest concern over the first 20 games for the Miami Heat is you need all three of the guys to be all-stars. You can't have Tyler Hero being an all-star, but Bam is no longer an all-star. If you want to challenge the Celtics, who are dominant, all three guys have to be all-stars, and you can't get Tyler Hero his, and then Bam's just a mess for 20 games. Like,
I want to stick to the Lakers for a second, just because I don't have as much faith in the Miami Heat as I have in the past. But this whole J.J. Redick thing, the one part before he started coaching where I said, hey, how are they going to hear J.J. Redick when he is complaining to them about the defense they don't play? Because J.J. Redick, as a defender in the NBA, effort, not very good, right? Now, you saw that effort yesterday.
wait a minute. What happened, Tony?
Uh-oh.
I mean, yeah, he's not a really good defender, but doesn't mean, hey, go play defense like a coach. You know what I mean?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if because he's fresh, off of his playing days, and most of these players played against him and probably cooked him when he was defending them, if he is telling them to play harder on defense, I don't think they hear it the same. I haven't seen a team play that lazily on defense, at least one that's supposed to be good, in a long time.
It was bad. The Heat missed a bunch of wide open threes, made a ton, but it was – I don't know how you guys measure this stuff. It's always hard for me, right? I have not seen LeBron James's aging process, but if you're going to see it, it's going to be on defense, right? Like if you're going to physically see the guy who looks the same and looks a little older, some stubble and stuff, but he's statistically sort of the same, and you're physically watching him trying to make the assessment, defense is where that's going to suffer. J.J. Redick and LeBron, we're talking about LeBron playing all 82 games this season. I imagine, as the Lakers, this has never happened before in the history of the sport. A winning team has never lost 4 games out of 7, the way the Lakers have, by 25 plus. The Lakers lost, they just keep losing by 20 and 30, but they've still got a winning record because they started strong. And right now, what arrives to the Lakers is J.J. Redick having the realization of, holy shit, we talked all that time on our podcast, and I didn't actually account for LeBron's aging. Like what it's going to look like if Anthony Davis can't be the best player on this team. You cannot ask the best player on your team to be the oldest guy in the league. Like that's not, and he played in the Olympics. And he's got more mileage on him than any player who's ever played. Like, I think I can say more mileage, even in the age of load management, plays all the time, plays for 20 years, and just wrecks his body.
I'll take it even further. J.J. Redick got a LeBron James for the first time in his career, probably since the beginning, where it's not championship or bust. That is not priority number one for LeBron James in a year where he had his son play with him.
Works hard.
In a year, in a year where he wants to play 82 games of all the years, to try to play 82 games this year where you're turning 40 as what? To check it off on your list? These are all very, let's just say, selfish goals, not team goals.
It seems like something could be on the horizon, Izzy. If you want to play 82 games, you want to show yourself to the fans one last time. You already had your kid play with you. Now he's in the G League being abysmal. Like, could this be the end of the LeBron James era?
He would have announced that. He's going to have a full, this is my final year. Everyone praise me.
The thing last night is that LeBron was great. Yeah. LeBron was great from the jump. Offensively, even defensively, he was making plays, causing havoc on that end. Anthony Davis was the issue. In the last 2 games that they've played, he's been abysmal. It's his 2 lowest scoring games of the season, 14 points and 8 points, and blowout losses to Minnesota and Miami. And in both of those games, he's going up against 2 of the better defending big men in the league. And last night what it was Miami double teaming him every single time he touched the ball. And early in the game, it led to so many turnovers, fast break points for Miami, to where even when they were struggling, Tyler Hero actually wasn't that strong offensively until the third quarter when he hit 7 threes in the quarter. But it was fast break points, and that's always been Miami's recipe for success. It's just the Lakers' defense last night that was inexplicably leaving Hero open.
This is what I would say about what happened, because Tyler Hero had 10 points in the first half. But I watched that game. This one's super rare, okay? I mean, it's to watch the Miami Heat have their best game of the season and be like, because they haven't beaten a team like that all season. They haven't, not a team that good or that way, looking like they were overwhelming, like they haven't regressed over the last 2 years, looking at their best. And while I'm watching, I'm like, nah, man, that's the Lakers cashing that in. Like, that ain't anything to do with, they'll make all their threes, but the Lakers have no interest in this basketball game. And I rarely watch and see that be that overt. And it's not just because Anthony Davis was playing bad. And I would say where LeBron got his numbers, man, someone in the NBA has to do that, get the team to 90 points. If you're going to double team Anthony Davis, almost any player in the league could have had the LeBron game if I made him the second option in that game.
But that's the missing link on this team. Anthony Davis has to be the driving force. We've been saying that maybe since 2020, but it wasn't really true. Now it's absolutely true. And so yesterday is a great example of either he hasn't been treated like he's the man by opponents, or he just doesn't really know how to act when he is treated like that. Because, as Jeremy said, the double teams threw them off entirely. I don't know what to do when that happens. Let me just kick it out. And when you go through these stretches where people say, oh, wow, when he plays 20 games in a row, he looks like the MVP. But then you get 3 or 4 games like this, he's just not that. He has to be the one that wants it more so than LeBron, even more than JJ Redick, because he's just getting into his coaching career.
This is so much better than college football playoff talk.
Agreed.
I bypassed.
Man, what's in your hand?
Mike, organic as always. This is the coloring book that we are selling at lebatardaf.com. And you will see here, it is autographed by me, and everybody will autograph about 500 copies of this book. All of you, I've seen the books. They're all stacked up out there. Giant stacks of coloring books that will be signed by every member of our show. Right now, though, we're having some difficulty corralling Stugotz. I just saw him one of the security video cameras. He was waddling through the parking garage, smoking cigarettes, not signing the books. Mike, I don't see your signature on these books. Have you signed any of the 500
I've signed
books?
several books.
Okay.
You just picked one that didn't have my signature on it, but we're doing this in rotations. Everybody but Stugotz.
I will tell you, Stugotz will end up signing this, but I am proud of this book for a number of reasons. One of them is that my brother, is an artist, and Angel Resto does the art for my brother now that my brother is gone, and this is a memory of my brother that is meaningful to me, that we are doing to celebrate all of the ways that we look different than the average show. So lebatardaf.com is where you go. Mike, thank you. You are very good at these just natural, organic tosses that don't make these sound like a commercial at all. Exceptional work from you. It is rare, I would say, that something that happens on this show startles me. It just catches me totally off guard. And I will tell you that I have been just neglecting what is clearly a superstar talent in our building that I did not know was just hiding in the kitchen area and losing her wallet and getting, doing basically war video photography that gets her pepper sprayed. And she's a very eager and likable person. But I had no idea that she had the voice of an angel. And so Rose was pepper sprayed, and you guys stunned me yesterday when I realized Rose, who speaks in a very thick accent, loses that accent when singing.
There was no need for pepper spray to be rained down on me. And I sustained wartime left eye injury. Ohio State sucks drama, you lost, that's the deal. The video clearly shows, with my eye almost blinded, there's Harry and Lucy laughing.
Baby, I can tell you that I'm pissed they hit Rose with the spray. Oh, she sounded like a goose was stepped on with heels, yeah. Even though Rose was in June, there's Harry and Lucy laughing.
Even though I wasn't doomed, there's Harry and Lucy laughing.
How is it possible that the same person who produced that goose sound is the person who sounds like Shakira in this song? It's impossible.
Dan, I spent the majority of last night listening to this song on repeat with my wife, and I was like, because she knows Rose, she's obviously been to MMA hangouts and stuff. By the way, this weekend at Casa Tiki, 10 p.m. on Saturday. But
well done.
Thank you. I was like, this voice is transcendent. This voice is superstar folk. She sounds like Jewel at Coachella live. She sounds incredible. And
I'm telling you, I was moved by that song.
So was I.
I want to make fun of Yeti for making sure that he was in this too, but
Which he did.
Which he did. But his part is also really good.
So
Yeti
good.
hits those notes from the loins.
He was okay.
He was all right. But Dan, the pain that you hear, can we go to the end? Let me go all the way to the end here, where the music stops and she's just singing a cappella. Listen to the pain in his voice, Dan.
Even though I wasn't doomed, there's Harry and Lucy laughing.
See, that's the thing.
Goosebumps.
Wow.
It's not just goosebumps.
Are you kidding me?
I was transported to a field where football players were fighting, and Rose is pepper sprayed. She's on the ground crying, and the pain of, there are my friends, and they're pointing and laughing. The pain of that, I felt it. I felt it in her voice.
Got to make a music video for this one.
This is a star in the making. Rose, you could catch her on the hockey show with Dwork and Roy. And I believe that she is headed for.
What are you laughing about,
superstardom.
Izzy? What's that so funny about Dwork?
I had the same reaction.
It is.
To be honest. You can catch her on the hockey show with Dwork.
It is. I don't know. You're laughing at the guy's name. I don't know. You guys are laughing hysterically at the guy's name. I was just saying his name.
He gets it. It's a funny name.
You know what? Izzy, you're gonna have to get out of here.
Why? What did he do?
I liked your joke too much.
It wasn't a joke. It was just a name.
Yeah, but I just said a name and you derailed the show because I got to get to Samson. Let me get to Samson. David Samson is here of Nothing Personal, and we've got serious business things to discuss with him. And also, we really do need the nation to understand that Rob Manfred has stolen an idea.
Yes.
Now, we have the sound here that Stugotz proves that we invented the idea of the golden at bat and that Rob Manfred stole it. But David Samson is now claiming, because we haven't gotten that off the ground yet, David Samson claims that we are all roar and no reach. And if this happened to a show people were listening to, this kind of thievery, that you rejected, the commissioner rejected Stugotz's idea laughing, and now he steals it without crediting Stugotz.
The sound you're gonna play for David and the audience is from August of 2014.
Right, but Samson is here to claim, look, Samson's got a different claim, and you were yelling at him yesterday on air.
Yes.
Because Samson claims he invented the golden at bat.
Well, mine's the magic at bat. But anyway, let's play the sound first for David so he can hear it. This is August 2014, where I pitched the idea to Rob Manfred.
No, this is our show. 2014, this was the first time we talked about it, and then we pitched it to him a couple years
We
later.
went over this while you were interviewing the Syracuse quarterback.
He was great, by the way. He was so good. Mike's going to be so pissed
I don't know
at me.
why you decided to waddle in here and throw the video when you haven't listened to anything we're doing. I don't know why you would do that.
It's a fair point there.
What I was saying, what Mike Ryan and I were discussing is I think one of the problems with baseball, Dan, and no one's really talking about it, is everyone's sitting here trying to fix something that I think is probably unfixable, but everyone's trying to fix it. The real problem with baseball is when you go to a basketball game, you go to a Cavs game, you're going to see LeBron James for 90% of the game. And he's going to give you 27, 8 and 8, and you're probably going to see a dunk or a pass that you've never seen before, and you're going to leave happy. When you go to a baseball game, an Anaheim Angel game, you're going to see Mike Trout every third inning. He has a better chance of going 0 for 4 than he does going 4 for 4 with a home run and 4 RBIs. And you're going to see Howie Kendrick just as much as you're going to see Mike Trout. I go to a Cavs game, I'm not going to see John Lucas III. I'm only going to see LeBron James. John Lucas III is a backup guard. I know you're having Mike check it right now on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm not going to see him. I'm going to see LeBron. So what I'm trying to figure out, Mike and I are trying to figure out, is I want to go in an Angel game, and I want to see Mike Trout every inning if possible.
So what are the magic at bats? How are you doing the magic at bats?
Like each manager has like 4 or 5 magic at bats in his back pocket. All right, so let's say it's like Mike Trout gets out in the first inning, but in the second inning, it's second and third, and there's one out. He has the option in that spot of putting Mike Trout back in the game. You see Mike Trout 2 innings in a row, genius.
That's his idea, and his idea allows for a certain amount of theatrics. Like you could like throw like a smoke bomb or something. Magic at bad time. Like you throw out the smoke bomb onto the field. Yeah.
Okay. A smoke bomb.
Yeah. Just like a little firework, like a little cherry bomb.
Magic.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Time for a magic at bat. Oh, Mike Scioscia.
The smoke is on the field.
Mike Scioscia has thrown the smoke bomb. Time for a magic at bat.
It's a lot cooler aesthetically than like a red challenge flag.
And they're trying to appeal to a younger audience. Imagine how much a younger audience would love the smoke bomb. And then there's Mike Trout coming out, emerging from the smoke bomb.
A wise and smart television sports show that was immaculately produced and spoken would have gone to the sound of Stugotz telling that directly to Manfred and Manfred laughing it out of the room.
Yes.
But now you have your proof from 10 years ago, Samson, that Stugotz invented the magic at bat. Why were you shaking your head no throughout that?
Because we were talking about this in an owners meeting committee well before 2014.
Huh.
So, Stu, where you came up with that is from a conversation that we must have had when I was on the competition committee talking about the possibility of this golden at bat.
Yeah.
And then you purloined it, made it your own into a bestseller. And now I don't know if you're going to take distance or you're going to try to take the credit, but you certainly have your audience and fan base and Stugotz Army behind you. But it's just completely made up. You did not have the original idea.
Where's your proof?
Inside baseball.
Right.
That is, everyone who's inside baseball would say, when we talked about expanding to 32 teams, making 8 divisions of 4, maybe taking away the American League and National League, changing the rules, pitch clock, all of these things were discussed well over a decade ago. And it's just funny to me that you're trying to glom onto it. And it's even funnier that I should try to separate myself from it because it's being laughed at as a total mockery and you're running toward it. So maybe I should just give it to you, but I can't.
You know what our proof is? A closed door meeting that only the highest people of baseball actually get to attend and no things ever leak from. There's no way that you would have ever heard something like that from it.
It doesn't count until you speak it into a microphone.
Exactly
David.
right.
That's it.
I would not
Spoken
want
by someone who speaks into a microphone.
I would not want Tony as my attorney.
Oh, I would.
Although now that I think about it,
Objection, Your Honor.
Are you kidding me?
You know what, Tony? I might.
It's about pomp and circumstance, Dan. That's what you don't get. Thank you.
I think I would like Judge Tony and all of your general chus media. Yes, I would. I think I would.
You want me to be the
He is
judge,
our
the
lead
jury, and the
counsel.
executioner? What do you want me to be here?
Here's the thing, though, David, and this is where you lose your argument to Tony. You're a lawyer. You are great at debate. You are great at proving things. When he says to you after playing the wrong sound, here's my proof, and then he asks you, where's your proof? And you say inside baseball, you lose. Case dismissed.
Yeah.
Like there is no proof from you there. None.
So I'm not debating this. I'm not actually trying to win anybody's voices, opinions, or minds over. I'm merely trying to tell you what the facts are, but clearly you can interpret them as you will. You're using proof of 2014 sound, which, by the way, the audience will clearly see the difference between 14 and 24. It's funny to me. But if you ask people, the Jason Stark article that started this entire thing 2 days ago in The Athletic, Stu, were you mentioned in the article as the originator of the golden at bat, or was I?
Maybe it was you. It should have been me. I mean,
This is why we're outraged as a show. Like, if we had genuine reach, people would take up this cause and understand that Rob Manfred has stolen a perfectly good idea, intellectual property of our favorite court jester.
One that he rejected when he was on the air with me.
Laughed at.
Yes.
That sound should be being played by every sports show in America. The commissioner of baseball, what are you laughing about, David? The commissioner of baseball had an idea that everyone is already talking about and laughing about because it represents more change in a rule than the sport has ever known, maybe since the DH, in terms of changing the numbers and absurdity. And this rule change was offered to him 10 years ago and stolen from Stugotz.
Yep.
And in a week of great jokes where he's a bestseller with a book that he has neither read nor written.
Well, that's not fair. I had to read
For
it.
Stugotz's best joke to be better than that one? For Stugotz's best, you know the week Stugotz is having. A church didn't have enough pews for what it is that he was bringing tonight with Greg Cody, dragging Greg Cody's lifeless enemy of fun corpse to the church to sell books. He made a better joke than that one. The commissioner of baseball is being laughed at for a terrible idea. A terrible idea that they do not yet know is a bad idea stolen from one of the great idiots in the history of sports media.
Thank you.
Great idea.
The interview that you are referring to, by the way, within the halls of baseball has been erased. There is nowhere that it's talked about. As a matter of fact, if you ask the commissioner, he would deny that he ever went on a show with you.
He would. You're right about that. He would deny that.
Bad news. It's evidence A1.
Hey, Stugotz,
Yes.
I brought my son a copy of your book yesterday.
Right.
And he opened it. It was a Hanukkah present. He opens it. He looks at the book, and the first words out of his mouth, wait, Stu didn't write this, did he?
He knows me well.
Can you imagine?
And congratulations to you for spending quality time with your son. I mean,
It was talking about you. And then we went to a dinner where there were other people talking, so it was fine. But I will tell you that for him to have that reaction, he's going to share it with all of his friends in his apartment and in his area, because he wants to be the judge and jury about the quality of the writing. So I'm looking forward to giving you a report on that.
All right, so David does his own show within a show. He's been talking for a long time to himself. I showed Jeremy how that works one day and actually walked him into a room where David Samson was alone with his thoughts for 50 minutes and put him in front of the television and just sort of said to Jeremy, you're not going to ever want to do this in your life. Talk to yourself for 50 minutes. Look at what it feels like. David Samson, within this show, is talking so much now that he does his own show inside of the show and just drops in, I was at dinner with my son and other people were talking, so it was fine. And you just throw it in there, and what are we supposed to do with that if you're not going to explain? Like, did you not want to talk to your son? Who are you trying to tell that? Like, why is that detail in the middle of that story?
Because it informs how dinners go for me. I'm not able to, the irony is I get paid to talk, but when it comes to time with my kids, my tongue is tied. I don't know what to talk about. And so I will engage like an old father would do with the stewardess, with the waitress, or with the host, or with other people in the restaurant in an effort to have some sort of discomfort alleviated by sitting in silence, which is my kryptonite. I can't deal with that.
It sounds like David has to remind himself on occasion that he is a human being. So he looks around and says, oh, they are speaking. We can speak now.
I mean, just ask him how he's doing.
So I come with it like a list of things I put in my notes. I make a list of things that I want to cover or that I want to ask, so I can foment conversation. And so I'll say how are classes? What are plans for graduation? What is going on with an apartment for post-graduation?
Do you check them
How's
off?
your social life? So I love where your head's at. The problem is I need the reading glasses. So it turns out that I'm pressing buttons on my notes during the dinner, and I'm erasing stuff that I need to get to. So I have to hit the undelete button. So what do? I excuse myself to pretend to use the restroom in order to recollect my thoughts. That actually happened last night. I kid you not.
Maybe
it
he's
was
not
not
human.
smooth.
What did you say, Iz?
I said maybe he's not human.
No, I am. I want to be better, Izzy, but I just can't think of anything to talk about.
If he can do a song, I want to be a human, and that cry that you just heard, but I am, he just insisting from the bottom of well of empty loneliness where he lives, but I am a human. I talk about $1 billion deals every day, all the way to the grave. It's nothing personal. Not my family, not Thanksgiving. Nothing is personal. It's just all business.
He used my book as a conversation starter with his son. I mean,
Hide in the work. Just hide deep in the work. Hide deep in the work, David. Talk to yourself. Do a show within a show. Go deep into your narcissism so you can die alone.
This is even better. I'm sorry, but I had my pile of Hanukkah gifts ready to go, and I have a stack of Stu's books that I have because I bought to support him. And as I'm leaving to get on the train to schlep for the dinner, I was like, wait a minute, this is perfect. I get on my phone, I add, discuss Stugotz's book, and I put the book unwrapped in the other present.
Is this one of your better or worse Chinooka gifts? Because I think it's a horrible gift. No offense, Stu.
I think it was perfect. It was like 4.5 minutes of conversation. It way outkicked its coverage.
He timed it.
Do you ever
timed the conversation?
Do you ever use Coca to produce your dinners with your son? Like, Coca, what can I talk? Give me some questions.
No, I just do rundowns.
No. No.
That can't be true. Come
No.
on. David, you don't do
No.
that. David, come on.
David!
Stop. Can we stop?
No.
Stop.
No, we
Is this
can't.
live? Is this live?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Then we can keep going.
David!
I want to see a rundown.
What's a rundown? Read
Danny,
us
you
a
have no idea how uncomfortable it is for me to spend alone time with anybody, like any of my children or people in my family. So I need lists. So I do it, whether it's dinner with my mother or whatever it is, I have a list.
Look at this. A palpable sadness is swept over the room as you laugh and
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Be sorry to your family. I mean,
do you believe your own plea that I am human? Do you have proof?
My heart is beating right now at 52 beats a minute. I feel good. I'm ready to go record a sporting class for Meadowlark. Everything's going fine. There's a ton of sports business things to talk about. There's serious things going on in the world. I was just trying to let you know what I did last night, schlepping 2 hours on a train both ways for a dinner, and I made it through. And one of the issues is we choose restaurants where the food comes quickly, not fast food, but semi-fast food. And in New Haven, there's a ton of pizza places like that. And so I'm able to really get through it perfectly and then get to the train station early.
Can I get some help from the room, please? Because Izzy was very nice and soft about, no offense, Stu, but that's a terrible gift. And I wanted to hurl Izzy into the ocean. It's a great gift.
My man.
It's this holiday season, StugottzBook.com. There is no better gift. Like, it's one of the best jokes this show has ever told. Like, what do you mean it's a terrible gift? I really was surprised that Stugotz ate that from you.
I mean, how many gifts does your son get, David? Is that the only thing that you're giving him?
8.
So
it's
I
actually
think that
7 because one of them is a donation. But so 7 gifts, but eight total gifts.
A donation, like to the human fund? Like, what do you mean? You're donating something to somebody else? You're giving my present to some other guy?
We do a charity as one of the gifts. One of the nights.
Weird.
I mean, it's the reason for the season, Tony.
Sure, yeah.
Weird?
I mean, giving charity on someone's behalf. What if they don't want to give charity? What if they want the gift? I mean, from dad, you know?
You think it's weird to give charity as a gift?
I think there's not a single kid out there that wants dad to write a check to a charity as opposed to getting a gift.
In David's defense, it is a tax write-off, so.
Right.
Heavy Chinooka.
You can make that like another thing you guys do, like give me my 8 presents for Hanukkah, but also on the side, we can also do the charitable thing after, you know? Like get all 8 and we do something else, you know?
So
You're
this
the
is another
non-human now,
thing.
Tony.
No, this is a very human thing that we do is that there is for charity, we make sure that the 3 kids get together each year to decide amongst themselves which charities they want to support. So it foments closeness in the family, except then I got uninvited to participate in it. So now the 3 kids do it
Jesus.
on their own.
All right, wait a minute. What happened with Thanksgiving? How'd that go for you?
I took whoever had the over of 90 minutes wins. It was 118 minutes. I was in and out. And apparently there was all sorts of things going on that I was not aware of. Why? Because I was able to do Meadowlark work at my sister's house, which enabled me not to have to be at the table. And there were assigned seats where I was put in the perfect seat at the end where I could just leave and come back whenever I wanted. But I felt so guilty not interacting with people at the end of the table that I ended up moving in the middle of the dinner for about 6 minutes. And then I left. And it was pointed out to me the next day that I was the last one to arrive and the first one to leave. And people were wondering whether I was okay.
Do you make your plate first when you're in a group setting like that so you don't have to touch the utensils after people have touched it?
Another great point. It is a buffet. And my sister, as a gift to me each Thanksgiving or whenever I have dinner there, allows me to open the buffet every time. And I take fun. Some people, family members are weird. They go up 2, 3, 4 times to the buffet. I just go once, take everything I'm going to eat for the dinner, sit down, and then I'm finished and don't go back up.
2 seconds? I don't go back for a full second, but you go back to the sides.
Mac and cheese.
The sides that you really love. Like the plate's full the first time. Plate number 2 is usually about half the size, but just going back to the sides that you really want to go back to.
I'm a one and done, Cody. That's it. One and done. You have to know what you want, take it, estimate properly, and then not go back there, because when you go back for seconds, everything's been ravaged.
That's
David,
true.
presumably these are people who know you and like, or maybe even love you. It feels like they're putting you in an uncomfortable situation time after time. Do they just think about not inviting you next time?
I mean, listen, things aren't going that well for me. So
I think I understand now, Dan, why he does a show by himself is because he is not human. And if he doesn't talk for a good amount of time, he accidentally shuts down.
But you can just not talk, David. You know that, right? Like at the dinner table, like you don't have to talk to anybody. You can just kind of sit there, do your thing, be on your phone. That's what half the people are doing anyway.
But you have to know that when I'm at a place like that, so it's supposed to be family, but there's always ancillary family, which is not related to me in any way. It's related to the people I'm related to, and they're given instructions, which I appreciate because I've gone through with a list of what I'm allowed to be. I don't want to be approached to talk about things, and there was a violator this Thanksgiving. Someone came up to me and said, "I'm sorry to bother you. Would you be willing to talk baseball with me for a few minutes? Where is Juan Soto going to sign?" And luckily, my sister saw this approach, immediately stepped in and distracted me by saying, "Can you help with the kugel?" So I did not have to engage with this stranger on this topic, which I had zero interest in discussing. So those are also accommodations that are made for me, which I truly appreciate, because I really don't want to engage in small talk with strangers.
It was my father-in-law hit me last night with, "You hearing anything about Soto?" And it's like, what would I know? What would I know?
Well, but hold on a second, though. Okay, so we're all in the information business, and David is an expert on both baseball and business. And it is funny to see this expertise on the Sporting Class and everywhere else when, I'm going to play the sound again because it's amazing. David Samson, who is close personal friends with Ichiro, was so worried once upon a time about the salary skyrocketing in this sport of baseball that he got infuriated because he got infuriated that Ichiro, what David, that Ichiro signed $100 million deal. And this also must infuriate David. Soto turned down $400 million from Washington. And I was like, how could he turn that down? Because now he's going to get between $600 and $700 million. And the Dodgers are deferring $1 billion in payment in the sport. And what's going on in the business of the sport is a bit crazy. But let's play the sound for the audience of David Samson many years ago talking about what an apocalypse the $100 million contract was going to be.
I am speechless by that contract. I'm hoping that report is false, because there's no chance that a top of the lineup, forget that, there's no chance anybody's worth that. And Ichiro, who's led his team to 0-0, I hope you're wrong, Dan. It's unbelievable. You know what? Everybody gets what they deserve, and I guess maybe that'll be more luxury tax money and more revenue sharing money they'll have to give. But signing, I'm sure it can't be true. There's no way they gave $20 million a year to Ichiro at his age for 5 years. There's no way.
It is true. This isn't wrong.
It can't be, Dan. It'll take the sport down, that contract. They'll right back to the ridiculous contracts. It can't be.
Your sport's out of control.
Well, signing Ichiro to $20 million a year for 5 years is a joke. It's inexcusable. It's complete mismanagement. It can't be true.
It sounds like Dan was somewhere in a bunker in World War II trying to relay a message to David, who was also in a subsequent bunker somewhere else on the front lines, and speaking to him by, like, you remember the Army guys who used to have the little Army figurines? You would have, like, the guy with the bazooka, you'd have, like, the guy with the gun, and then you have the one guy with, like, the radio pack.
The communications kit.
And you're like, that guy sucks. What do I need this guy for?
So you're saying I sounded like
David.
a walkie-talkie.
I was waiting for an over.
Because there's no chance.
Over.
I feel now like I'm in a ship at sea.
Because there's no chance.
I'm trying to get communications from David as I'm battered by the storm, and he hits me on the walkie-talkie from his systems.
No chance anybody's worth that.
Dan, I'm begging you to stop now. I'm literally begging you to stop. It's
Over.
almost impossible for me to believe that this is what you're doing today. I can't compute it. The good news is I discussed this with Ichiro when he was part of our team with the Marlins for many years, because he heard that when it came out because of the roar and the reach of your show. Side note, I was in San Francisco in front of those the creatures that rip the babies off the pier. Sea lions or seals,
Jesus,
whichever they are.
That's a crazy way to say sea lion.
So I was in San Francisco with family, and I stepped away to do your show, and you're bringing this up now, today, of all days.
I'm sorry, David. Jessica was doing a better show than this one in my ear on some of what.
David, wait, you said the things in San Francisco that rip the what was it? Rip the babies from their parents. I said Democrats in Dan's ear. It was a little joke among friends. David, I heard that today is National Communicate with Your Kids Day, December 5th. How do you intend to celebrate with your children?
I don't.
I'm serious. I Googled it.
What am I supposed to do?
You're not going to
celebrate? Should I text them so I don't get a response?
Hey,
should I call them so it goes to voicemail? What would be your suggestion for national communication with your kids?
Did you read any of Stugotz's book? What did you think?
I love
start
you.
With that.
I love you.
I want to stop you guys for just a second, because Tony was also doing his own show in my ear, and he surprised me there with one of my favorite characters around here, which is the second conservative, Zagacki, who works in even tighter windows and hadn't been around here in a while. And the reason I appreciated that degree of difficulty that he embarked upon is because Jeremy, at the beginning of this entire conversation, ran out of this room, hair on fire, and just shouted, "I've got 14 minutes to create a song." He is preparing right now in the other room something that serenades David's family sadness. And he's trying to produce it in 15 minutes of time because he doesn't want to live a life where he becomes David Samson talking to himself on a solo show. He wants to play the xylophone on Heat sidelines while singing songs. He wants that to be how he covers sports.
We've been busy drinking champagne.
Oh, I am so here for her.
Him.
Don't mess with me on the pronouns.
We don't do pronouns, Dan.
I can't believe Jeremy wants to follow Rose.
I mean, that is a dangerous
I
game.
mean, unbelievable. Well, good. Let's see here. If he's going to take on these challenges, he's got 6 minutes now. Like, he left in a total panic, and I've got plenty to talk to David about if you guys don't want to talk about his family anymore. But I could spend the rest of the show in this particular nest. Like, his weird idiosyncrasies at home, I can go through all of them, and you guys will understand how he is at the bottom of a well shouting, I am human, when you ask him if he's human.
I have a way to figure out if David is human or not. Wow. We have a very sad video clip that we wanted to talk about of something that happened yesterday, and I want to play it for David and get his honest reaction to it.
It's a B-roll clip, so just talk over it.
So this is Sister Jean, and she is at the game, and she is what now, 105 years old? And she's in a wheelchair, and she has been a mascot for this team that is its most famous member, and they're walking right past her without shaking her hands, without touching her hand. She's got a fist out for a pound, and everyone's ignoring her.
28 did. 28 gave a little bit of a dap. I think the guy in front of 28 also had his hand out like he did. So
I blame the guy in the sweater on the other side because he's getting all the attention. He's getting all the high fives. It's that guy's fault. I don't believe this was done intentional. I can't believe they would do this to Sister Jean.
David, does this make you feel anything?
No, this is a logistics issue. Her wheelchair's on the wrong side of the line. She needed to be stage right, not stage left. I don't know whether she can extend her right hand at her age, but if she can, you put the wheelchair on the other side, have the right hand out, and you got yourself a bunch of high fives.
This is
someone should have noticed that in between. Once 4 players pass her, you stop the train of players, you move the wheelchair across the aisle, and then get the last group.
Please, as fast as you can, create for me the new hit television game show where you ask David questions. Did you feel something there? And the answer is always, this is a logistics issue. Please. Please, let's play that game and that show where you get see proven at every turn that he's not human, that he's not in any, that you would look at that video, heartbreaking video of an old woman being snubbed at the end of her life by a team she dedicated her love and her religion to. She's the most famous member of that team. She carried them to heights no one had seen college basketball go before. They are ignoring her. You see a logistics issue.
I just want to solve the problem. That's what I do. I see a problem and I solve it. And this is a problem. I agree with you. Do I feel something? No. But what I feel is I can fix this and I can fix it quickly. And I would have fixed it at the time.
This is a logistics issue was the best answer he could have given there.
But what I'm saying to you is if you ask him questions, that will be his first sentence 10 out of 10 times. Some form of that will come out of his mouth because he's not human. Like this is a game show we can absolutely play with him where we ask him these questions. But can you explain to me, please, David, the $1 billion in deferred payments? Like I don't understand what's happening in the business of sports.
So let me actually go back. And you said that Soto's going to get $600 to $700 million. That's been widely reported, but it's all ignorant reporting because until you see the amount of deferred comp in the offer, you don't know how much money Soto's actually getting. So the example is Shohei Ohtani. People say he got $700 million over 10 years. That's not accurate. His contract is actually $700 million over 20 years. And when you present value it back in today's dollars, it's the equivalent of about $460 million over the 10-year contract. So he's not making 70 a year. He's making 46 a year. And the reason the Dodgers defer all this money is they take money they owe to players and they reinvest it elsewhere, and they make money on that money, and then they take the money they've made to pay the player in the future. It is a great game. The Mets played it with Bobby Bonilla. All of you know about this. I don't know where Stu is, but this is a real thing called Bobby Bonilla Day, where he still gets $1.5 million 20 years after he played, because what the Mets did is they took the money they would have paid to Bonilla, they gave it to Madoff and said, we're going to make 10% and we're going to pay Bonilla 1%. We just made ourselves 9%. So it's a business move that the Dodgers make, both to make money on their players, but also to not have as much present day outflow of cash. So if players are willing to accept it, which many are because it keeps them making money after they're done playing, it's a win-win.
Jessica, you can't keep doing that show in my ear. You can't keep doing the show just in my ear as I'm going to David Samson.
Let's hear it.
It's a great.
We're workshopping a game.
It's a
to play
great.
with David.
It is a great game show. But what you just asked in my ear is not something that I can ask him, even though it would have been darkly fun. Like
it's a spicy one.
It's much funnier in my ear than it would be on air, where I think it would get us all in trouble.
That's fair. That's why I was trying to do it while David was talking so that you could say no.
Yes.
And then we could move on.
Let's play feelings or logistics. Kirk Herbstreit bringing his dog to college game day and his games. Feeling or logistics?
Outrageous. There's really no place for that.
That seems like a feeling.
This is a good game. It's a good game. You guys could hit him with an assortment of things, and all he's going to do is land on business every time. Cold
Not
business.
true. That's not true. You know what, Dan? Stop. Just stop. You want to play the game? I'll play the game. But don't paint me as something that I may or may not be based on things that you're going to make up just to try in an ear doing a show that I'm not privy to because it's not in my ear. The audience isn't privy to, and you're doing these private things. What is the benefit of that? Is that making the show better somehow? Not in my mind. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
It feels like a feeling, and Jessica's...
But it was a logistical issue.
Jessica was doing a very good show in my ear. I can tell you about it later, but you're right. It plays defense. She knows. It plays defense against... Asking me a thing that would get us all in a lot of trouble as you stop talking and the show reverts to me.
Just ask it. Then just ask it.
DeMar Hamlin playing football after dying on the field last year. Feeling or logistics?
Do we want to do a private show in the ear, or do you want me to answer that question?
All right.
Which one? Totally up to you.
You know what?
I'm happy to answer it. I'm very happy for DeMar Hamlin. It was like a lightning bolt. It was incredibly unlucky
a
what
tackle,
happened to him
actually.
with that hit. And the odds are really good that it's not going to happen to him twice. So, of course, I was happy to
I don't
see
know
him
if
on the
happy
field.
is the correct emotion there.
Wait, the arbiter of emotions?
Wow.
This
You're
is
clearly
actually
not, Mr.
not a
Robot.
pleasant segment, or whatever it is that this is.
There's an emotion.
Nothing.
Why don't you go ahead and tell me what was in the ear? Because I think the audience would be interested in the show within the show.
You know what, David? You are totally right here. But what I'm saying is that if I do what Jessica suggests that I do right now,
Not with the music. We're not doing
it would be dark, deeply and darkly funny, and also wildly not appropriate right now. It's the thing that Izzy wanted to come in and talk about today, and as he started talking about it, I'm like, that's what I usually do to the show. I start with stuff that's that serious.
Is there a movie that you're reviewing for us this week, David?
Thank you, Jessica. There is, and this is actually an important movie for all of us to watch. It's called Buy Now, The Shopping Conspiracy. It's a movie on Netflix. It's a documentary. It's maybe an hour and 13 minutes. It is about Amazon, among other companies, and the waste on our planet from all of the consumption that we do, where the manufacturers of our items, like our phones or our clothes, there's no, quote, end-of-life plan for these items. And forget the BS of recycling and all that nonsense, which doesn't actually work. The reality is that we don't know what to do with everything we're wasting. And these companies, and I am so guilty of this because I'm a TikTok, Instagram, Facebook shopper constantly. One click at my door the next day, that all of the waste that I'm contributing to is sickening. And so here's the suggestion in the movie. If you want something, put it in a cart and let it sit for 30 days. And if you still want it, then buy it. But as a company, we don't allow that, because if you go to lebatardaf.com or davidsamsonpodcast.com and you put a piece of merch in the cart, we're going to send you an email every day, twice a day sometimes, saying, oh, did you forget about your cart? Because we want you to buy what's in the cart. So there's no interest at all to improve our lot in life, which is to ruin the earth with this waste, because we are people of consumption. And my takeaway from the movie, folks, spoiler alert, there's a few people out there trying to help, but it is putting a finger in the dam of waste.
I believe that we are in the apocalyptic hellscape portion of we get so much convenience sent to our house with jet fuel and in boxes that we're throwing away, that we're ruining the environment faster than it's ever been ruined, so that we can all die together one day, poor before rich. Going to make sure that Elon Musk lives in space somewhere with all of
I
our...
don't know. This sounds like a logistical issue to me.
It does.
We just need something to do with all our trash.
You're so right. Let's see what Jeremy produced here in a panic as fast as he could about the hollow, sad emptiness that is David Samson being a robot.
I did my best to prepare when I saw my son last night. I prepared a list of questions in my notes app, not my mind. And sometimes I get nervous when I have to speak to him. So I brought to my son Stugotz's book, Are We Human? Are we Samson? We cannot talk to our own families. And I'm writing rundowns so I can prepare. Are we human? Or are we Samson?
Good job, Jerry.
Good, but not better than Rose, though.
No, never.
Not better than Rose.
I wouldn't even try to
Not better
follow
than
Rose.
Rose.
You
It's
just
a
did.
Separate situation.
Nothing personal is the name of the podcast. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
The show has been moving too fast this week with all of just the college football thing, the virus, the thing that infected the show. And so there are a number of things I haven't gotten to yet. The useless sound montage. That's a always popular wonder, and we get to it later and later every week. It needs to be earlier in the week. I'm going to start cracking the whip around here after the holidays. Are you still allowed to use that expression, cracking the whip?
Judges?
I'll allow it.
Siren?
Thank you. I
In the proper
appreciate
tone,
that.
maybe.
I saw Samson stop dead in his tracks on Stugotz. He got scared.
He got panicked. I saw it on his face, too.
Yeah, it swept over him.
Which rarely happens to him.
I know, but he's getting old, and he's an old white man, and can be dangerous for them at the moment, too. That's why they voted the way they did. That's how that happened, just so you know. Like, they've always been in power, and they're like, no power for women, no power for any of you. Power all ours. We'll give it to our biggest orange crook and let him run everything.
So useless.
Yeah, useless sound. It's like what I've been shouting for 4 years into the wind as anarchy comes my way. It's my useless sound. I'm the sponsor of useless sound.
Lad's a gift from the football gods. So is Tarheeb and Joe Alt and Cam and Marcus May. How about that? Just a beautiful thing.
I got hit in the not so funny bone.
We'll have to take a look at the film, see where we can get better and improve.
Can't say enough about the efforts of the guys in their locker room, the splash playmaking.
Playoffs, furthest thing from my mind. You never know what can happen. So, like I said, I'm just going to keep putting one foot in front of the other, try to be the best player that I can be for the rest of this season, and week in and week out, day in and day out, trying to be the best that I can be. Our guys fought hard, did a lot of good things.
Too many mistakes. We got to clean that up if we want to get to where we want to go.
We wanted to come out and attack because we knew what they would give us. That's what I mean about the depths of these waters, man, these divisional relationships. It is not checkers, it's chess.
Resilient team, done a lot of different things. We were so determined team. I think that was noticeable all week of how determined this football team is.
It's a good win. You find a way to get the W, and that's ultimately what we did.
Small cats will steal your soul. Never have them around. If it's a house cat, that'll steal your soul.
What it means is that we did a great job today. It gives us a lot of momentum and everything else, but we got to use it for good. We got to be able to respond. We got to be better next week.
Mike's a grown-ass man.
The naysayers will, you prove them right, they'll be louder. So that's part of the territory. You carry that until you do something about it. And unfortunately, we didn't tonight.
It's Thanksgiving. Pat's girlfriend Jill, she made this fire-ass little banana thing, and I had too much. So I guess that I didn't know it affected me until that first drive.
Thought we did a great job at weathering the storm.
We got to make better decisions in some cases. We can't turn the ball over.
You know what? I have never met Captain Andrew Luck. I hope they continue to tweet.
My mama just told me that. She just cussed me out. So I'm mad. So we gonna get after it, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. We gonna get after it. I can't wait to this bot get on.
Well, the thing I was doing in the theater was I was singing along, so I kind of was waiting for my wife to nudge me to stop doing that. But when Alphaba goes into the Wizard and I, it's hard not to. And then defying gravity, it's hard not to.
I know I'm better than this. I know. I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes.
Aren't we all?
It is such a good quote at the end of that. The Jameis experience continues to echo. None of us want it on our football team, but we just want it around football.
Can we get Najee Harris's actual injury on the report? Because he said he ate a fire-ass little banana thing that got his stomach all messed up, and I want to see that on the injury report.
That has to happen routinely on Thanksgiving dinner nights in the NFL, where some guy just ate poorly during the day and blew it, right? They're not all nutritious hounds who know the clinical science of what it is that every Sunday or Thursday requires, right?
Yes, I think that the Thanksgiving diet is a specific one, not just in so that it's, food you don't normally eat, but it's the amount of food that you probably don't normally eat. Yeah. I was watching the AFC North Hard Knocks episode, and my favorite moment involving Thanksgiving was they went to the Hayward house, so Cam Hayward and his brother Connor, who are both on the Steelers, and Cam was like, hey, did you see the end of the Lions-Bears game? It was crazy. And I love that even NFL players are watching Matt Eberflus screw that up, and they're talking about it at their Thanksgiving dinner.
You mentioned Thanksgiving. I had my most epic Thanksgiving leftovers ever this year. I did it differently. Usually, I've always just been a real boring leftovers guy. Put it all on a plate, zap it, and eat it the way you did.
Boring sex of Thanksgiving.
Like the boring sex. Just give me the same style of plate.
Zap it up.
But you know what? The old zap.
Wait a minute.
Well, at least
Tony,
I do
you
use
just
the air
judge.
fryer.
Wait a minute. You just judge the sensuality of Chris. You
Just like, all right, let's do it.
Well, zapping implies microwave, and that is very sad. I would air fry it at least.
Oh,
Tony.
most people microwave the leftovers. No, like
not nowadays.
Microwaving is
if I
fine
can
for
air
those.
fry it, I air fry it. If it's meat, if there's meat involved, meat gets very rubbery.
Depends
in
on how
microwave.
lazy you want to be. I'll
But-
microwave.
So this year, I was like, all the the social media algorithms. I saw people making like Thanksgiving egg rolls. I was like, I want to do something fun. My dad makes a soup. I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get a hoagie. Nice. Like a 12-inch roll. That was your idea? And I'm going to I'm gonna have a Thanksgiving sub.
You made a sandwich?
I
That's
made
what
a
everyone
sandwich.
does.
No, but I'm telling you, this is not just a sandwich. This is not just a turkey sandwich. This is every single thing you would have on your
kitchen
plate
sink.
in this roll.
Yeah,
it was
that's right.
it was so delightful. I cut it in half. My wife's like, I'm not eating that. I'm like, all right, I'll have both.
All right, well, now you have to just tell us, go dish by dish, what did you put in the sandwich?
Well, we
Because
started-
this is not a novel concept.
Right.
We started with a
all.
base of mashed potatoes.
Oof, already up to
Okay.
about right.
As is
that's your
obvious.
mayo.
That's the base.
Okay, but that's your mayo.
I
on
was
the sandwich.
lathering it like it was mayo, actually.
Okay, so wait a minute. You're going to go even fatter than the average fat Thanksgiving. So
I'm like it was like a schmear.
So the mayo on your carbs is mashed potatoes.
Right, and then we go with a little green bean casserole.
That's your
at this
salad
point-
with
That's your
mayo.
lettuce.
Which
yeah.
at this point is just mush. You know what I mean? Like
So you got
the
mush
day
on
after,
top of mush.
Yeah, mushy
It
mush.
did have
Green
the
bean
crunchies.
casserole is an affront to God.
It had the crunchies on it, but those aren't crunchy anymore. So now it's just mush.
The crispy
I'm
onions.
slopping it
Oh.
in there with a spoon.
So far, this is way more than just a leftovers sub. Chris is right.
And then
That's your vegetable.
now you're thinking this is a little rich. This is like there's a lot of
A little.
You know what? We're gonna sweeten this up a little bit. Put a little cornbread in here. So now we're gonna put a little cornbread in here.
Bread
the bread?
inside of
The
bread.
cornbread,
Wait a
just a little
second.
like dusting, I'd say almost like the way Salt Bae does.
An
I'd say
innovator.
I was
Wait,
like,
Chris,
Just like
did
crumble
you-
it up?
I was crumbling up my leftover
Cornbread shake.
You should cut the cornbread in half and put something in between the layers of cornbread so you have a sandwich
next year.
inside a sandwich.
Sandwichception.
And then on top, good old turkey. My dad's fried Cajun bird, leftovers
turkey.
of that.
It's good turkey.
Sprinkle that on top. So now the top, you see the meat. It looks like a good sandwich. All that mush underneath it.
Hell yeah.
And then, of course, just gravy. Just gravy on top of it. So then I cut it in half, and I got this. I'm telling you, it looked like Food Network quality. It was just had the
Did you take a pic?
You could see the layer. No, I don't think I did. You could
Oh.
see the layers of mashed potato, and then I just bit into that thing. It was so mushy.
Cranberry sauce?
But it was so good. I didn't have cranberry sauce. I would have added
I
that.
love cranberry sauce.
But it was delightful.
Sounds disgusting.
How'd you leftover? Dan?
I'm going to get back to that in a second. Tony was sort of nodding his head, and I don't know whether he was disgusted or not. What?
Oh,
you
come
were
on,
just-
I didn't like the sandwich choice.
You'd crush that sandwich.
No, I do every time that we have the Thanksgiving leftovers. The thing is, I do it differently, right? I get fresh on Black Friday. I go to my local bakery and I get un
Why are you
pan cubano
whispering?
rico, pero está like this, right? And then I get it, un pan cubano, a Cuban bread.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
So I get a Cuban bread, right?
the blue and the
He's
red
never-
stripe.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So he's never heard that, Dan? I don't know what's going
Un
on.
pan cubano.
Un pan cubano, pero rico.
You
Pero
said it
está
very fast.
calientico.
You said it very fast.
Okay. So I get the Cuban bread and then I cut about 17 inches. Yeah. Right? So I get that 17
Brother,
inches.
that's
right,
not 17 inches.
Right in the middle. Right in the middle. Put that on. Then I get, because we do a couple different meats over at Thanksgiving. We got turkey, but we also have honey ham. Dan, I know you're a big fan of honey ham with
Yeah.
the spiral on top.
Yeah.
So I layer that first, right? We get the turkey
You're
on
going to
first.
give me ham and sugar it up? Sure.
And burnt crispy
Yeah,
on top.
yeah, sure.
So I got the
Sugar
turkey.
on my ham? Yes.
Exactly. And then I put the ham. And then on the top of the bread, I put sweet potato casserole with a little bit of marshmallow. That little bit of marshmallow right on top. Then I layer it with a mac and cheese, right? And then I close that up and then I put it on la plancha. And then it goes.
You are hitting that with some Latin sensuality, and it's making Jessica make a face. It doesn't seem Jessica seems to find more appetizing that monstrosity that Chris Cody described, which is a horror, by the way, because none of that stuff's holding up very good, and that casserole's dripping. Like you're not doing this cleanly. You're eating a sloppy sandwich.
It was like pouring out. I would bite.
That's-
it would
no,
like pour
that's-
out of the back end
The
of it.
description of it all as mush is what did it for me. So my sandwich is usually a layer of cranberry sauce, turkey, maybe some gravy, and then I'll add one side to it depending on what we have, like potatoes or something, depending on what we have left over. I'm not adding multiple layers of mush on top of it. Tony's intrigues me because you have the cheese element.
That sizzle, do that
which
sizzle
I
again.
do think does add something.
Cheese is not a Thanksgiving thing, though. I don't associate
mac
that.
and cheese
Mac and cheese, yeah, but it gives you the cheese of the sandwich. Every good sandwich needs cheese, Dan.
I've never really liked the idea of a sandwich with leftovers. It's just more carbs with the carbs that you're already eating. I'm not saying it's unhealthy. It just doesn't feel like it's that good.
Put it on the poll, please. Does every sandwich need cheese, Dan? At Le Batard Show.
Absolutely.
Every good sandwich
I think,
needs
Izzy,
cheese.
it's just that, like, you get the turkey presented to you in such a way Thursday that Friday you want it done differently. Right. So you're adding bread to it and you're eating it cold versus just reheating the same plate of Thanksgiving a second time in a row. Or third time if you're an early Thanksgiving person, because then you're having Thanksgiving and then Thanksgiving again at like 8 o'clock during the Packers-Dolphins game. And then the next day you're having Thanksgiving again.
I do enjoy several Thanksgivings in a row. Yes, yes, it's pretty good. I don't feel great about it afterward. Monday's hard to come into work after 4 days of football. That's the holidays. It was slothy and gross, but delightful. I have not been able to get to all the things in the show over the last couple of days that I want to get to, so I'm just going to combine them all now. Okay, the bucket of death has to be in play, so let's get that going. Let's do Thursday Thunder as well. I have a number of different things that I need to get to behind the bit we need to get to. So let's just combine a bunch of things here, and let's start with the bucket of death. Go around the room, and we will combine that.
You just made Chris so nervous right now.
Well, I was like, there's thunder music, there's
yes,
bucket of death music.
I know you've got a lot of different music, but I need to get all of this out of here at the same time because it's too much. And this is like the sandwich you were just describing. We've just got this. We got this.
Where's La Plancha?
Which ingredient am I?
Yeah, well, here this segment is the green bean casserole that's spilling all over the place that I've hated for years. That shouldn't be in the sandwich. Shouldn't be in Thanksgiving.
I got the Buffalo Bills at the Rams. They're -4. I think I'm gonna have to keep this one.
Okay. Yes, the Bills.
It's a weird one.
Why is that weird?
Tough
Just
one.
like
Long travel day.
Bills clinched the AFC East.
I still think the Rams are good. What am I doing?
The Rams are 500. The Rams are probably pretty good, but the Bills are one of the best teams.
I gotta take the Bills -4. I have to.
We've already moved on.
Jaguars.
Ooh, I'm so sorry.
Putting that back.
At Titans, 3.5 points.
starting?
Mac Jones is starting.
Dog. 3.5 point dog.
Turn of the Mac.
Got a face mask. 15 yards. Damn it. I haven't been here for Grid of Death in like 2 months. You guys like never do it when I'm in here, which is a bummer.
Stugotz always skates on this.
The Ravens that have a bye.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Boo.
I
So
know.
happy for you.
Yeah, never happiness.
Reaper, come over here. I like doing with my right hand.
I've got a great streak going, Chris, and because people aren't made happy by this, I have not lost yet this season.
You're not made happy by this.
I'm not.
Can't dress up.
I haven't lost this year either.
I am the only person.
I've got the
who's worn a
Pittsburgh
costume.
Steelers.
Ooh, Browns.
I heard the
Pittsburgh.
commish was threatening me. You guys should all know she's bringing on an enforcer, and she's really mad that no one's paying their penalties. Are you taking that, Tony?
I think I'm going to put it back.
Reaper looks
Yeah,
short
the Jameis Winston experience. Wow. It happened once. It could happen again.
Why'd the Reaper get so short?
That's not nice.
I feel like the opposite of the Jameis Winston experience happened the first time they played Pittsburgh because he didn't throw 2 bone-crushing
I got the Bears.
sixes in the fourth quarter.
The Bears.
Oh, the
Bears are at the Niners. The Bears.
Hey, but you know what? We already talked about the Niners window. Closed.
A 4-point dog. The Bears at the
The
Niners.
post-coach firing spike, perhaps,
Always
for the
good.
Bears.
And TB at the offensive court as head coach now. Lost 22 pounds, by the way.
Ooh,
He's so stressed out.
Patriots. Yikes. I'm throwing that right back.
They're on a
without
bye.
even-
They're on a bye. It already went in?
Already
What's
threw
the
it back.
ruling
I
on
already
that?
threw it
Oh,
back.
Went in, he's
By the
out.
way, I owe 2 penalties already. I've only done this twice. I've lost twice.
And you haven't paid any.
Yeah,
of
no.
them. You'll fit right in around
The Wizard of Oz.
All right.
I'd take the Tin Man. Thank you.
Lions,
Lions.
Bengals,
That was
Bears.
me.
We'll go back to you. You can decide in a second. So look at the Lions, Bengals. You know how this works. I got the Jaguars. I used to say Jaguars, and now Mike Ryan called me out on it. So now I go the other way. I'm
It's
like
Jaguar.
Jaguar. I'm putting that back. I don't even have to look what they're playing. I got the golden helmet of life.
Congratulations.
What the?
No one is happy for you. I'm looking to get the swap helmet so that I can take that from you.
The golden helmet of life. The golden helmet of life. the golden helmet of life.
I've got the Lions. I'll keep that. I don't know who they're playing. They're at
The
home
Lions.
against the Packers. They're a 3.5-point favorite.
Tonight.
Who's who game, Dan?
That's
Best
right.
game of the week.
You have mentioned it's a who's who game, and it is the Packers going to the Lions. I do not want to talk about that game. I do want to promote a couple of things that we've got coming up here.
Is a Bengal a tiger?
Yes.
I will take the Cincinnati Bengals.
Woof.
At the Cowboys.
Bengals are 5.5-point favorites.
Why did you have to ask us that?
I wasn't sure.
What did you think a Bengal was?
I didn't really know the rules if it had to be a tiger. Like if it had to be a Detroit Tiger, I would take
Like
a
the
Detroit
word
Tiger.
tiger.
Tarek Skubal on the bump,
Oh,
opening
okay,
day
okay.
in April.
I had a hot take because, as you mentioned, there's a NFL game tonight. I think last night was one of the underratedly worst days of the sports calendar. I got home from work, and it was like there was 30 straight days of football prior to 50 straight days of football prior to Thanksgiving. And like Tuesday night, there was like the ranking show, so I was still kind of buzzing from the weekend. But then Wednesday night happened, and there was no football. There's no Maction. There's no CUSA. There's nothing. There was nothing on last night for me, and I was really sad.
Jessica,
It wasn't a nice break for you?
Lakers, Jess.
Well, this is this, but here's the thing. Jessica just articulated something that made me palpably sad last night on my television, where I'm like, man, Lakers, LeBron, Miami used to be something a little while ago. Where's my Maction? Like, because I'm not interested in 10-10 Miami Heat season that doesn't matter for 60 games. Like,
Yeah, it made me wish we could get the Maction championship on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Like if we could see Ohio and Miami play last night versus on Saturday, that would be like it's going to be an awesome game, I think, between both of them. But I feel like it's going to be overshadowed by all the other games on Saturday, and I just wish for the sake of the Maction warm and fuzzies we could get it on a weeknight.
That's funny because you said Miami and championship game, and I got really confused for a moment because that doesn't happen.
okay, but Florida Panthers can't even get on the show, and they're the defending Stanley Cup champions.
We'll get to it.
Okay.
Did they play last night?
You say this. You say that we're going to get to it, and I've got to get to the Thursday Thunder. And I've also got to tell people what we've got going on this weekend because, Tony, you've got the MMA Hangout, which has become very popular. Give people the information they need if they want to hang out with you on Saturday because you really could spend the whole weekend with our show if you wanted to. And one of the things that I want to do over the coming month is I want to have a toy drive. So I don't know, Tony, if you can attach this to what you're doing. I know I'm going to attach it to what we're doing on Sunday. I want anybody who's coming out to bring toys because every time we've done toy drives at this time of year, we are overwhelmed by our audience, and then you can make some kids happy even though Jessica hates them.
Absolutely, Dan. We're going to be at Casa Tiki live at 10 p.m. And the cool thing about Casa Tiki is that it's not only a tiki-themed bar, but they do themes throughout the year. So right now, it's probably the best Christmas bar on the planet. There is no place better, more decorated than Casa Tiki. It's called the Miracle on Calle Ocho, Dan. You know Miracle on 34th Street? Miracle on Calle Ocho. If you go, it's going to be the best, coolest themed Christmas bar in Miami for sure. You can bring your toys. We'll set them up in the back. We'll make sure to bring them home, bring them back here. But if you want to hang out with us, UFC 310, a banger of a card, front to back, as usual. UFC doesn't miss with these, with these kind of cards. And we'll be there hanging out 10 p.m. on Saturday. If you're not in Miami, check us out on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all the different places you can stream.
As part of what it is that I'd like to do over the month, okay, because I'm just thinking this out now as we talk, but the toy drive is something we are going to do in December. And so on Sunday, we also have a watch party. And while I'm always telling you how appreciative I am for your appreciation and how I'm always telling you that your support is the reason that we can do all of the things that we're doing, I'm asking you to bring in the form of appreciation a toy as part of what it is we're doing. And we'll thank you, and we will spend time with you watching these football games. It's what we're there to do. A lot of people get uncomfortable asking for photos, but it's what we're there to do. So we want to have this relationship with you, and we want that relationship to come with toys. And we want it to be in a Miami party on Calle Ocho, where toys and children usually aren't. At a bar where this is not a child's play bar. It's an adult gathering.
Rare are.
It's an adult gathering that you are having on Saturday night, and then you can spend time with us on Sunday, too, if you want to spend time with our show.
I meant few.
Thursday Thunder, Chris Cody. That is good work by you in a small window for inefficiencies and mistakes.
Rare are.
Thursday Thunder, Chris.
I like the idea of people just coming up to Dan with a toy randomly and be like, here, can I talk to you now?
That's how it's going to work. The exchange is going to be that transactional. Bring me a toy, I will talk.
Oh, you got a jump rope? All right, what do you want to talk about?
I will give you a sports take in exchange for a toy.
Thursday Thunder, sponsored by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear all about what DraftKings has to offer all throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Tony, give it to us.
Guys, I've been given the, thank you, Thursday Thunder by Mike Ryan. He has set this one up. 4-pick parlay because 3 picks are too easy, Dan, as you noticed. 3-pick parlays
We haven't won one of these in a while.
I was close the other day.
Okay, but I was close is the lament of the loser.
Yeah. You know, there was an asteroid that passed us very close, by the way. 1.37 million miles
Mike
away.
Ryan has had a good gambling year if you've been behind his Twitter paywall or his X paywall.
All right, so the 4-pick parlay starts with an anytime touchdown by David Montgomery. Knuckles, if you're paying attention at home. Second leg, Jordan Love over 225 passing yards. This is where the parlay gets a little spooky, Dan. We already passed Halloween. We're on to Christmas now, but this is spooky. Over 3.5 receptions for Sam Laporta.
A big Laporta game. He wasn't good in the last one.
He's been a little streaky this year.
I love betting tight end overs.
He's also the 4th leg of the parlay. 40 yards over. 40 yards for Sam Laporta.
Izzy, what are you smiling about? What are you laughing about?
It's just a weird thing to really be locked in on. Tight end overs every single week.
Well, this is part of what it is that we're selling around here for our sugar daddy.
So 3.5 receptions, over 40 yards for Sam Laporta. David Montgomery, anytime tutty. And Jordan Love, over 225. That gives you a nice plus 415 if you're keeping tabs at home for Thursday Thunder.
What happened, Chris? Why did you make a face at
the graphic on our screen says plus
350. The lines have changed, Dano, just like they do in real life. If you're in Vegas in the high rollers room,
it is real life.
The odds change very quickly. That's plus 350.
Okay, that just happened. There was a lot of planning that went into all of that.
My screenshot came in.
We're in a contract here. You guys got to get this right. It's
Nailed
not that
this.
hard.
What do you mean?
The sound effects.
Chris,
Rare
I would like for us to get to Behind the Bit, please, as part of our 20-year celebration, nostalgic as it is. What is the topic matter on what it is we're presently doing here? Charles Barkley.
Charles
Barkley
is the
Speedo
bikini.
bet? All right, good times. I stuffed a tube sock in my... I'm revealing that for the first time.
Wow.
Yeah.
It wasn't noticeable.
Come on. I just needed
Small
to make
tube sock.
Terry Bradshaw story.
Look, I'm coming out in a Speedo. There is not going to be an internet imprint of anything happening down there that's going to hang very loosely over my head. Like, that's not going to be something that I'm going to live with over the course of my life. So there was a tube sock. I'm admitting that for the first time.
This is Behind the Bit. This is Behind the Bit. This is Behind the Bit.
We take you back to a better time in the show's history, a time, at least for me, where I was happiest because we were at ESPN.
We are live at the Clevelander. The time has come. Dan Le Batard is going to pay off his bet to Charles Barkley, who is going to disrobe Dan Le Batard in just a second. Charles, what is going on here? We are staring at Dan Le Batard in a bathrobe, and he is about to take that off. I'm sorry, Charles Barkley is about to take that off. Dan, how do you feel right now? We can see the sweat. We're wondering, I'm playing sideline reporter here. How do you feel right now, Dan?
I'm feeling unusually confident right now. I feel like I'm in a position of strength, and I'm going to be able to turn the tables here shortly on Mr. Barkley.
All right, Charles, are you ready? This is a bet 1 year in the making, and I get to see Dan in a Speedo and all his shame, right now.
Hey, I want to apologize to South Florida right now.
Charles, you ready to do this?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Charles Barkley is making his way over to Dan. He is slowly pulling over. Oh, boy. Whoa. Dan Le Batard. Oh, that's confetti.
Hold on, I'm not done yet. Hold on.
I want to interview Charles Barkley. I've interviewed him a lot over the years. I want to interview him right now. Have I been fair to the Heat? Charles, have you been fair to the Heat? No. Charles, is LeBron about to win more rings than you? Yeah!
Oh, Charles is putting it back on. I can't believe it. By the way, just to set the scene, Dan has a picture of Charles on the back of his Speedo, and it's glorious. A picture of Barkley.
This is one of the most fun things I've ever done. Hey, man, I love you to death. You know that.
There it is, right there. Look how happy. That's as happy as you'll ever see Stugotz.
Day of my life. I mean,
that made me wildly uncomfortable.
Can you give us some context to that bit?
I was really confident that LeBron would dominate J.J. Barea in the post. I feel like I had a position of strength. I didn't think there was any circumstance under which the bet would end that way. I thought for sure the way that bet would end with Charles Barkley never calling us back because he'd lost the bet and he wasn't going to do this.
It was the 2012 NBA Finals, so I think they had a bet on that. And of course, Dan took the Heat. He was not going to take, the Dallas Mavericks. And who would take the Mavericks? 2010, I'm sorry. Yeah, first year. But now that I'm thinking about it, what a bold prediction by Barkley. Because everyone took the Heat, Barkley took the Mavericks, he ended up winning, we all ended up winning and losing at the exact same time. But Dan was feeling really good about
confident.
this. Game 2, the Heat are up by like 20.
Confident.
Dwayne and LeBron are shadow boxing, and they went on to lose that game, and then J.J. Barea owned LeBron. And
I don't think he got any of the facts right on the details of what happened in that series. The end result is that's the end result, and I didn't think I would ever be in that position.
Yeah, I tried to erase that image out of my head for many years, and now you just put it right back in. So, yeah, it's going to take another generation to get that out of there. Thank you.
An interesting part about that is that was in the Clevelander, where our studios would later be built several years afterwards. The specific spot that Dan's doing that is pretty much the control room for everything that we ended up creating out of there. That was a year-long bit. A payoff in the making. Dan and Charles had an NBA Finals bet, and we basically had to wait till Charles was in town for the next Deep Heat playoff run so it could fit with his schedule. And that was a really good old-timey radio bit, spectacular in its execution. It's always a good radio bit when you paint a vivid enough picture to have the audience wish that they were there. And I think most of the people listening that day remember it and also wish that they were there for it.
Didn't he have Charles Barkley on his butt?
Yes, he did. Charles Barkley, he had a picture of Charles Barkley on the Speedo facing in that direction. And yes, he was moving around to answer questions, basically.
The whole interviewing Barkley, but not Barkley, interviewing your butt was totally unnecessary.
The best I could do is have my brother paint me to cover up all of the places to distract a lot of optical illusions so that people wouldn't look at anything happening in my mid-region. As a recollection, it looks like a lot of fun. I will tell you in all honesty, that's as scared as I've ever been. I didn't want to be in front of people in that way, and there were a lot of people there, and Stugotz delighted in my discomfort.
Plus, you left me alone with a microphone.
Right, and you like that part,
We were terrified about that, I remember.
You like that part, too.
Stugotz had to be our play-by-play guy because Dan could only do so much, and Dan was being a real showman with the presentation there. Stugotz, we all enjoyed it.
Stugotz's voice was completely different back then. Tell you that. He was very young back then. Now he's old, his lungs filled with cigarette smoke. But yeah, he had a great time back then.
There's no bad story, nothing that went wrong during this bit, no nightmare, no issues with flights and getting talent there. All the memories of that event are good. I mean, look at it. It'd be ridiculous to remember anything other than a jovial time.
Was there any preparation to get into that Speedo? Was there a cleanse?
There was some fasting involved, some juice cleansing. Yes, it didn't do enough good, but yes. I do think also, and this is something I'll only reveal here, pretty sure there's a tube sock in my Speedo, just to avoid any imprinting.
That's a heady play.
Yes, according to sources.
The old tube sock.
Yes, a tube sock.
I think Dan appreciated the year-long runway to prepare his body for this. There was certainly some waxing.
How into the bit did you think Barkley was?
Greatest day of his life.
He was pretty happy. Yeah, he was pretty happy in our shame. But who doesn't like to be right? And usually when you get to be, like he knew I was not wanting to look like that. So I threw as much distraction as I could at the situation.
You think you distracted us. We were all looking at the same thing.
I know. It was a tube sock, though. I don't think Charles... Do you think Charles would have paid that bet? I don't think Charles would have paid that bet.
Are you saying he would have weaseled out of the bet?
I think he would have, yeah.
I would have weaseled out of the bet. I don't know about Barkley. I think Barkley would have delivered on that bet. It was content on the front end, it was content on the back end, and it's still content today.
How much did Charles Barkley enjoy the bit?
I mean, look, he's got one of those great smiles in all of entertainment, and he couldn't keep it from flashing over his face. I mean, the photos of this are pretty ridiculous. In a nutshell, if you were to encapsulate just a handful of images from our show, I'd like that one. I'd stack that one right up there to describe what it is that we're doing. Charles laughing as he's pointing to Dan's backside as he wears a Speedo with Barkley's face on it. That was great stuff.
Dan is questioning whether or not he would do it.
Yeah, I don't think he would have done
I'm not going to be the guy who says that. I'm not saying about that. Listen, I'm trying to get Charles back in our good graces. I don't think I've seen Charles since we did that event. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not going to be the guy that says Charles would ditch on a bet. He wouldn't do that.
Speedo Man, Barkley's picture right on his can, packs it in nice and tight. I wish I lost my sight. Look out! Whoa! Dan is the Speedo Man.